It's very important that we begin to learn how to create wealth. I'm not talking about loving money. See, I believe the lack of money is the root of all evil. Let me tell you what money does. Number one, it gives you control over your life. Number two, it gives you options. Number three, it allows you to live a life of contribution, to contribute to things that you feel strongly about. So, here's the first step to accumulating wealth. You must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. That's why the book of life says the road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it, because few are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. What are the things that others won't do? Number one, make discipline a major force in your life. Number two, make it okay to fail. See, anything worth doing is worth doing right if you know how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it, it's worth doing badly until you get it right. You have something special. You have talents and abilities within you that you don't even know exist. So how do we begin to create wealth? Let me give you some ideas. Number one, knowledge. What knowledge do you have that people are willing to pay you for? Next, talent. DI's talent is playing football. I didn't have that as a talent. My talent is talking. To me, my definition of success is doing what you love to do and finding somebody to pay you to do it. I make more in 1 hour than 90% of the American public earns working a whole year doing what I love to do because I've developed my talent. You want to master your talent. Find out what it is that you love to do. I love to talk. Scripture is another key that tells us what we need to do to develop ourselves. Luke 12:34 says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So what do you love to do? Then explore ways in which you can earn a living doing that: cooking, writing, painting, working with numbers, working with people. The other thing is, not only must you have knowledge, talent, and some skill, but you must also have faith to act on your dreams. See, faith is very important, the faith to act on those dreams and desires. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Commit means to carry into action deliberately. Commit means to make it happen no matter what. Commitment makes the difference. Next time you have bacon and eggs, remember the chicken was involved, the pig was committed. See, when you make the commitment, I'm going to become wealthy, or I'm going to do it no matter what life changes for you. Most people don't keep their commitments to their commitments. That's why they lead lives of poverty, misery, and unhappiness. So, part of what you must do is whatever commitment, whatever covenant you make with God, whether it's to go back to being a better father, to make a difference in the community, to change your life, to stop using drugs or alcohol, or to recreate yourself, you must keep your commitment to your commitment, no matter what. If it's hard, then do it hard, but keep your commitment to your commitment. Whatever task, talent, skill, or knowledge you have, start making money doing that. Start making a difference by impacting people's lives. Commit thy works. There are two kinds of work: external work, the activity you're engaged in, and internal work. The first step is to live your calling. Decide what it is that you love. The second step is to work on yourself. Your income is a reflection of you. If you earn $1,200 a year, $2,000, or $500,000, whatever you're producing in your life is a reflection of you. That's why it says, judge a tree by the fruit it bears. I can look at what you're producing and tell a lot about who you are. You don't get in life what you want. You get in life what you are. Now, let's look at how to get unstuck. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what's using my life? I heard a guy give a lecture once, and he said, we are today what we were when. He was talking about how, to a great extent, we behave, think, and react because of some previous experience we've had. One of the things we know about life is that it's always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes things go well, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. That's life. When we begin to understand and accept this reality that we will never have things on an even keel all the time, we can grow. You're going to have some ups and downs, but it's during those down moments where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. Anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, their relationships are strong, and their business is successful. Anybody can be positive then. But the real challenge, the real growth mentally, emotionally, and spiritually comes when you get knocked down. Someone said, Adversity introduces a man to himself. How you handle it is where growth takes place. When I was facing challenges, someone said to me, evaluate where you are, look at it, assess yourself in the situation. What brought you here? What role did you play? Earl Nightingale had a saying, I love all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. What has brought you to this point? What did you learn from it? Are you learning anything? Or are you doing the same thing over and over again? Are you going through it, or are you growing through it? It's true you become bigger and better because of the challenges of life, but how do we grow through them? And how do we sometimes get stuck? A friend of mine went through a divorce, my best friend. He had a wife who didn't love him as much as he loved her. She was his first real true love. He was a very religious man and didn't believe in divorce. But he made a mistake, and he paid for that mistake with a lot of pain and a lot of tears. There came a point when he knew he should have gotten a divorce, but he was stuck. He was stuck in something called revenge. He said, she's made me so miserable, I'm going to pay her back. He was stuck. And he stayed in that relationship longer than he should have. It began to attack him. It began to affect him psychologically. As a result, when he eventually did get a divorce, he carried that same attitude into other relationships, always looking for something to go wrong. He was burned so badly that he didn't want to risk pain again. He went into relationships trying to avoid pain. And when things became too close, he'd do something to make sure the relationship didn't work. He'd always find something wrong with the person because, as we know, there are no perfect people. If you look for flaws, you'll find them. He was stuck in revenge. Another friend of mine was working at a job he loved. He loved the company deeply and expected to retire there. But one day they called him into the office, asked him for his badge and identification, walked him to his desk, and told him he was fired. He had to leave. He was devastated. If you came anywhere near him, he'd tell you his story. We all have stories, don't we? Even after he got another job, he went on telling anyone who would listen how he had been fired unjustly. And he always ended with, it wasn't fair. Life isn't fair. Life just is. It's not fair that birds eat worms, but they do. We can't control fairness, yet he was stuck in the idea that it's not fair. He would say, I didn't deserve that. They were wrong. Many of us don't do the things we want to do because of a lack of self-confidence. We don't believe enough in ourselves. I have a friend who has been working at a job where she's miserable. She's talented and wants to go to another place where she can do what she loves and earn the kind of money she deserves. She's even had offers. But because of her fear and lack of self-confidence, fear that things might not work out, she won't take a chance on herself. So there she is, spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week miserable. She hates going to work. They're not paying her what she's worth, and she knows it, yet she won't do what she knows she must do, and it's wearing her out. There are so many people whose jobs are making them sick because they won't act. Look at the absenteeism and depression. People come to work angry. How are you doing? You ask. They respond, I don't know. Just leave me alone. It's not even 9 a.m. yet, and they're already like that. Some days you drive to work and feel like just passing it by. You don't want to stop because it's not in sync with who you are. But you haven't acted. I have another friend who's brilliant. He's a business consultant and has helped a lot of people start their businesses. People come to him because they know he's knowledgeable, but he won't start his own business. Now, he's very smart, S-M-A-R-T smart, and he can do it. Everybody believes in him except him. And he's so smart that he's talked himself out of it. The numbers aren't right, he says. There are so many reasons why we don't act. Another factor that stops us is not wanting to take personal responsibility. We want somebody else to do it. Many times we pick up our inability to act from people we love and admire. We identify with them and live in the context of their ideas, opinions, and life patterns. We buy into it unconsciously. For instance, my mother is a pack rat. She keeps everything. She doesn't throw anything away. And I've unconsciously picked that up. Now, my mother never said, let me show you how to keep everything, how to just clutter up your space. I unconsciously picked it up. Often we unconsciously try to honor the people we love by being like them, by doing the same things they did, by living their patterns. When she has a problem with one of the other foster children that she adopted, she won't confront them. Instead, she'll call me, Les, why don't you tell Linda to move? She's lazy. She won't go to work. She runs the streets all day, and then she comes home and wants to sleep all day. I think she's doing drugs. I said, but Mama, why don't you tell Linda that? I bought the house for you. I told you when she wanted to come home, don't let a grown person come there and take advantage of you. Well, after all, she's my child, Mama replied. Then you handle that, I told her. When I tell her to leave, she says, Mama says I can stay. Mama says I can stay. And you tell her yes. Then you call me and say she's still here. Why worry me with this? Mama hasn't developed the courage to act on that. Some people won't act until there's a crisis situation. When Linda started stealing from Mama and took her Social Security check to buy drugs, Mama finally got the courage to say, get out of here. Don't ever come back. But she wouldn't do it until then. See, we don't have to wait until a crisis situation. I have a friend who has been dealing with the challenge of losing weight. Both of us have been struggling with that for the past 40 years. He always seemed to weigh over 235 pounds. He'd say, man, I just can't lose weight. I'm big boned. I said, but I've never seen any fat skeletons. No, you need to act on your health. You can change this. You don't have to go to your grave fat. We're all digging early graves with our teeth. We don't have to do this. If you want, we can form a support group or something and throw Snickers in there too. What happened with Bud, though, was that he became ill a few weeks ago. See, in the last few weeks, Bud has lost more weight than he ever did before, even when we were competing with each other and betting money. But what happened was Bud became diabetic. He went into insulin shock and didn't even know he was diabetic. His blood sugar spiked so high that the doctor told him, you're diabetic. You're going to need insulin shots every day. You're going to have to change your diet. And let me tell you what will happen if you don't do what we tell you to do. Number one, there's a possibility you'll become an amputee. Number two, you could go blind. Number three, you could become impotent. Bud said, help me, just like those men with Paul when Paul broke out of jail and they said, tell me what I must do to be saved. Bud wanted to be saved. I said, Bud, you want one of my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? He said, no. I said, Bud, I can't believe you're eating vegetables, man. You're exercising. He said, that's right. I'm even jogging in place now. He had the ability to do it before, but for some people it takes a crisis to bring them into reality and make them act in their own best interest. Some people have to hit rock bottom in order to rise. I don't know why. You want to begin to look at your life and what you want for yourself. I think when we begin to focus on what it takes for us to act, we realize that events can inspire us like that event in Bud's life. A friend of mine wanted to do something, but he just didn't have the motivation, drive, or confidence. Then his circumstances changed overnight. The company he worked for was acquired and he lost his job. Through the inspiration of desperation, he had to act. See, we often lack the courage, and that's what it takes. Courage. It takes guts to do what you know you need to do. If you don't have the courage to act, life will sometimes force you to. Life will whoop your butt so bad that you'll be miserable. You'll catch so much hell that you'll say, yes, I'll do it. What do you want me to do? Just tell me. A friend of mine used to say, I can't stop smoking. I can't stop smoking. The doctor told him, Sam, you have emphysema. Sam said he never picked up another cigarette after that. In fact, he said, look at those stupid people smoking. I said, Sam, you did it for 35 years. How can you talk about people? Well, I'm different, he said. I'm trying to help them. They don't have to do what I did, but I'm compassionate. Isn't it interesting how quickly we forget? So I'm saying, look at something in your life. It might be as simple as writing a thank you letter to someone. Some decisions are major, but there are a lot of small decisions we don't make that tax our minds, drain our energy, and create anxiety, nervousness, and mental torment. Because we don't take care of it, we decide not to decide, which is a decision. Deciding to decide to act is a major, major challenge for all of us at different points and in different areas of our lives. There are things that happen to us along the way, experiences that we have that prevent us from working through the mental block of acting, of doing those things that we know we ought to do. What I want you to think about is this. What is something you know you need to do that you want to do, but for some reason or another, you've been holding back? For some reason or another, you just have not been able to gather your nerves or work through the procrastination, the putting it off, the justifying, or the blaming. For some reason or another, you just haven't done it. You know you ought to do it. You really want to do it, but you don't know why you haven't. Now, first of all, we know this isn't easy. To begin reinventing your life, you've got to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort. You really have to put all of yourself into it. It's very challenging to act, to do those things. There are times when you look at something and say, I know I need to do this, but I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. I know I need to do it, but leave me alone. No, I don't want to do it. So what do? What are the things that cause us to act like that? I think among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. If you've already failed, you don't want to fail again, the pain of that, the disappointment. The fear of loss is another thing, because many times when we do the things we know we need to do, we feel we might lose somebody we love very much and care about. We don't want to hurt anybody. Many of us don't act because we want other people's approval. We want everybody to like us and to accept us, but that's not possible. What is life? I'd like to share this with you. In summary, getting unstuck means that you are going to start living life on your terms rather than just gliding through every day on autopilot. It means you are aware that you're stimulated and that you're excited about your unfolding future. It means you know you have a special power within and that things are going to get better for you. You know you can handle this. Sometimes you have to cry. Sometimes life will take you to your knees. But the pain opens spaces in the heart for joy. Somebody said this about life. I love this. Life is like an onion. You have to peel it one layer at a time, and sometimes you cry. Another author said this about life. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a gift, accept it. Life is an adventure, dare it. Life is a sorrow, overcome it. Life is a tragedy, face it. Life is a duty, perform it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a mystery, unfold it. Life is a song, sing it. Life is an opportunity, take it. Life is a journey, complete it. Life is a promise, fulfill it. Life is a beauty, praise it. Life is a struggle, fight it. Life is a goal, achieve it. Life is a puzzle, solve it.